The morning sun rose slowly over Sunshine Orphanage, painting the small building in warm golden light. The orphanage was old, its walls showing years of wear, but inside it was full of life. Children's laughter often filled the courtyard, even on hard days. On this morning, however, something felt different. Caregivers moved quickly, arranging chairs, cleaning windows, and placing fresh flowers near the entrance. A very important guest was coming, Mrs. Thompson, the director, told the children. His visit would bring gifts, support, and smiles, but for some, it might bring more than they expected. Most children were excited. They whispered about toys, snacks, and school supplies. But 8-year-old Lena sat quietly by the window, watching birds outside. She had lived here for 4 years and had learned that visitors often promised much but returned nothing. She didn't expect anything special. Lena wore a simple blue dress, her dark curls tied into 2 small puffs. On her left wrist was a tiny star-shaped birthmark, something she had been born with. The younger children thought it looked magical. Some even asked to touch it. Lena simply smiled and let them. Outside, the sound of cars echoed through the street. Several shiny black vehicles pulled up, and the children rushed to the windows. The tall, elegant man stepping out of the first car was Mr. Adrian Cole, one of the youngest billionaires in the country. Known for his businesses and charity work, his visits were usually formal, but this time, something in the air felt different. Mr. Cole entered the hall, smiling politely as Mrs. Thompson greeted him. Boxes of toys and school supplies were brought in, and the children clapped. One by one, he shook hands with each child, asking about their studies, their dreams, their favorite things. Finally, he reached Lena. She lifted her eyes to meet his. "Hello," he said gently. "What's your name?" "Lena," she replied softly, extending her hand. As her sleeve slid back, the small star-shaped birthmark on her wrist was revealed. In that instant, Mr. Cole froze. His smile faded. His eyes widened, filled with shock and something deeper, a memory he had tried to bury. For a few long seconds, he stood silently, staring at Lena's tiny wrist as if seeing something impossible. Lena's small hand lowered slowly. "Sir, is everything all right?" Mrs. Thompson asked, noticing his change in expression. "Yes, I'm fine," he said quietly, though his voice wavered. Kneeling gently to her level, he asked softly, "Lena, have you always had that birthmark?" She nodded. "Yes, sir, since I was born." A sharp memory hit him like a lightning bolt. Many years ago, his sister had lost her daughter during a terrible accident. The little girl had disappeared, and despite searching for years, no one ever found her. The detail that haunted him for years? A tiny star-shaped birthmark on her wrist, just like Lena's. Could it be possible? Or was it only a coincidence? Mr. Cole forced a gentle smile at Lena. "Thank you, Lena. It's been wonderful meeting you," he said, though his mind raced with questions. He stepped aside, speaking quietly to Mrs. Thompson. "May I see the records of how she arrived here?" he asked. She nodded, leading him to her office. Inside, Mr. Cole examined the file carefully. Lena had been found near a hospital, wrapped in a blanket, with no identification, no note, nothing to tell anyone where she came from. His heart beat faster. Every detail matched the story he had buried in his memory for years. Stepping back into the hall, Mr. Cole tried to continue the visit as normal, helping hand out toys and food, smiling for the cameras. But his eyes kept finding Lena, watching her quietly hold her teddy bear, unaware that she might be the missing piece of a family torn apart years ago. That night, back at his home, he stared at an old family photo. His sister Vivian held a baby girl with round cheeks, a tiny hand lifted to show a star-shaped birthmark. Mr. Cole's chest tightened, and his mind raced. Could it really be? Was the child at Sunshine Orphanage his niece? He knew he needed proof. The next day, a private DNA test would begin. But one thing was certain, everything had changed. Because the moment he saw that tiny birthmark, nothing would ever be the same again. The next morning, Sunshine Orphanage buzzed with its usual chaos, but Lena felt a strange unease. Something in the air had changed after yesterday's visitor. She couldn't explain it, but when she looked out the window, she half expected to see Mr. Cole's tall figure approaching. Meanwhile, across town, Mr. Cole sat in his private office. A small envelope lay on the desk, containing the sample collected from Lena for a DNA test. He had spent hours arranging everything discreetly. He wanted answers, not publicity. His fingers tapped nervously on the table as he stared at a photo of his sister, Vivian, holding a baby girl, the star-shaped birthmark clearly visible on her tiny wrist. Could it really be her? He whispered, voice barely audible. Hours later, the lab called. The DNA results had arrived. Mr. Cole tore open the envelope, heart pounding. One quick look at the report confirmed what he had feared, or hoped for. Lena's DNA matched his niece's. She was the lost child his sister had mourned for years. Tears blurred his vision. He sank into the chair, overwhelmed by a mix of relief, joy, and guilt. How could a child grow up in an orphanage, unaware of her family, while they had searched for her desperately? The following day, Mr. Cole returned to Sunshine Orphanage. This time he walked slowly, trying not to alarm the children. But when Lena looked up from her coloring book, her eyes met his, and she felt something she couldn't explain. There was kindness there, but also a strange intensity. "Hello again, Lena," he said softly, kneeling to her level once more. "Do you trust me?" Lena blinked. I think so." He smiled gently. "Good, because I have something important to tell you." Lena tilted her head, curious but cautious. Mr. Cole reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small locket. "This belonged to someone very special," he said, opening it to reveal a tiny photograph of a baby girl. Her as a newborn, with the same star-shaped birthmark. Lena gasped, her small hand rising to touch the picture. "Is that me?" she whispered. "Yes," he said, his voice trembling. "You are my niece, Lena, your mother. She loved you very much. She never wanted to lose you." The room fell silent, the weight of the revelation pressing down. Lena's mind spun with questions. Who were her parents? Why had she ended up here? Why hadn't anyone found her sooner? Before she could ask, Mr. Cole placed a reassuring hand on hers. "I promise you," he said firmly, "I will help you. I will tell you everything you need to know. You are safe now." A small smile broke through Lena's tears, but just as she felt a flicker of hope, a shadow appeared in the doorway. "Mr. Cole," Mrs. Thompson whispered nervously, "there's someone here, asking for Lena." Mr. Cole's eyes narrowed. "Who?" "They didn't say their name," she replied, voice shaking. "But they know about the birthmark." Mr. Cole's heart skipped a beat. Could someone else know the secret of Lena's past? Someone who might take her away? He looked at Lena, who clutched his hand tightly. "We need to be careful," he whispered, "but I won't let anything happen to you. Not ever." Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the orphanage windows. The sense of danger loomed, but Lena didn't know it yet. She only felt the warmth of someone finally protecting her, a family she had never known. And deep inside, Mr. Cole knew one thing: finding Lena was only the beginning. The real challenges, the questions, and the threats were still waiting. The shadow in the doorway moved closer, and Mr. Cole's protective instincts kicked in immediately. He gently placed himself between Lena and the stranger. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice firm. The woman stepped forward, her eyes filled with tears. "Please, I'm here for Lena," she said, her voice trembling. "I'm her aunt, her mother's sister. I've been searching for her for years." Lena's small hand gripped Mr. Cole's tightly. "Aunt?" she whispered. Confusion and curiosity, "Thank you," danced in her eyes. "Yes," the woman said, nodding. "Your mother. She trusted me to keep an eye on her, but circumstances tore us apart. I thought she was gone forever." Mr. Cole studied the woman carefully, but something in her eyes told him the truth. He looked down at Lena, whose eyes were wide with shock. "You're safe," he said softly. "She's family too." Lena's heart pounded. For the first time, the pieces of her life began to fit together. Her mother, her lost family. She was real, and now, finally, she was not alone. Over the next few hours, Mr. Cole, Lena, and her aunt shared stories, pictures, and memories. Lena listened, amazed, as the woman recounted her mother's love, the hardships she had faced, and the reasons she could not raise Lena herself. Every word brought Lena closer to understanding who she really was. But peace was fragile. News had already begun to spread. Someone else had known about Lena's birthmark and her past. Mr. Cole knew they couldn't delay. We need to leave, he said, determination in his voice. Some people will try to take her away. But I promise, Lena, I will protect you. Lena looked at him, feeling a warmth she had never felt before. You really are my family, she said softly. Yes, he replied. And family sticks together. No matter what, days passed. With Mr. Cole's protection and her aunt's love, Lena began to explore the world she had never known. She learned about her mother, about the family that had waited for her, and about the life she could now build. She smiled more, laughed more, and felt a happiness she had never dared imagine. And one evening, as the sun set, casting golden light across the orphanage yard, Lena held the locket close. She looked at Mr. Cole and whispered, "Thank you for finding me, for not giving up on me." He knelt beside her, smiling gently. "You don't have to thank me, Lena. Family never gives up. That's what makes us strong." For the first time in her life, Lena felt truly safe, truly loved, and truly home. And though challenges might come in the future, she knew one thing: she would never face them alone, because family was finally complete.